Hi everybody, my name is Kate Ward, and I'm the Managing Director of EAM Domiciliary Service. EAM Domiciliary Service is a home care agency. We provide domiciliary care to vulnerable adults in and around Derbyshire, some of South Yorkshire, but mainly the Peak District. So we look after anybody from the age of 18 up to the age of, well, the oldest client we've got at the minute is 103, which is pretty cool. Lots of stories to be told and lots to learn from our clients, not just us to them to us often. It's obviously a really rewarding job if you're invested in the care sector and if you enjoy working in care. Now, as people who work in care will know, that once you have worked in care, and if it's for you, then it's something you stick at. It becomes really worthwhile, something you want to invest in, something that you want to become your main career, the thing that drives you forward professionally. The difficulty is obviously getting people into care. That can be a challenge. It's not necessarily the most appealing job on the surface of things. It has lots of negative associations, so with some of the tasks that we carry out as care workers, with the hours we're expected to work, the days of the year we're expected to work, because obviously care is required every day of the year, isn't it? Including Christmas, New Year, in the evenings, at the weekends. So lots of it can feel on the surface, as I say, unappealing, but it's not. It's far, far from it. So it's getting people through the door, which we at EAM Domiciliary find the hardest thing to do. When it comes to retaining our staff, keeping staff with our company, touch wood, all things wooden, we do quite well. Well, we do very well, actually, statistically. So we have staff members that have been with us for the entirety that the business has existed. And it was established in 1999. So we're doing pretty well. Lots of the carers have been there longer than I have. My background is acute nursing. So I registered as a nurse, worked in acute nursing for some years, and then took the position of assistant manager to start with at EAM Domiciliary, and then eventually became registered, and then eventually took over the company in its entirety. So exciting times, definitely. And I have learned an awful lot through all those different processes, managing in different settings, managing different staff with different drives, different passions, different things that motivate them, because we're all different, aren't we? So lots of things get some of us motivated, and something that might be nothing to do with your preferences gets somebody else motivated. And there's lots of different aspects, I think, through my experience, that all contribute to retaining your staff, like low turnover of care workers. Now, things like travel time. So when you're providing domiciliary care in the community, obviously you have to go from house to house, client to client. It's not in a care home, it's not in one place, it's all over the place. And my company in particular, it's really all over the place. Our head branch is based in the Peak District, which is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But it comes with its hindrances, should we say, doing domiciliary care. So we have small roads, we have farms which bring their farm traffic, we have lots of tourism which bring just general traffic, which makes getting around a little bit tricky. Most houses have names, not numbers, so logistically it can be overwhelming. It can certainly feel tricky getting around. And it's these sort of things that you need to try and turn into a positive when you're recruiting your staff, and certainly when you're wanting to retain them. So the practicalities are making sure, without a shadow of a doubt, you cover their time to travel in ways of finances. So travel time needs to be paid, mileage needs to be paid. And one thing we have found really beneficial through my experience, is making sure that the pay is really reflective of what they're actually working, what they're receiving. So what I mean by that is, we don't do a rolled up hourly rate, so we don't give out a big chunky number. We pay £12 an hour, for example, and that be it. That be the whole pay in a nutshell. We do it differently, and this is something that has definitely contributed to the retention of our staff. I know so because of feedback from our staff. So, for example, we pay an hourly rate, which is lower than these big numbers that people often advertise with, other big companies. But in addition to the hourly rate, we pay travel time for every minute that is travelled, and we pay a mileage expense for every mile that is travelled, and they go all together and display the final wage, should we say, on a pay slip. So the carers really feel valued for all the little bits as well as the big bits that they're doing. We try to keep things like travel time and mileage travels as little as possible, because it can feel frustrating on a really busy day if you're working a 6-hour shift and you're going from one place to one place to one place to one place, and the travel in between these places is extensive. It can feel tiring, and it can feel like most of your day is in the car, not with your clients, which again can lead to some frustration with your staffing. So again, through experience and feedback from our staff, it's definitely good to be really mindful when you're creating your rotas. Make sure not just that you do it, that you communicate it. So as a company, as a manager, when you're interviewing, when you're trying to make sure your staff that you have just recruited stay, you need to practice openly what you preach. So all these great things you do as a company, you need to tell them about it. You need to make them aware. And so they sort of feel assured of that information, and they know they can come ask you if something falls out of that line. One thing we find, and I find especially, is being really open, or as open as you can. And that seems to really help again with minimising the turnover of your staff. So if they sort of know where they are with you, then it just seems to make things smoother. So it's an open door policy, basically. We're a very open company. So as the managing director, everybody, if they want to, can have access to me. Now that sounds possibly like a bad idea to some people who are in my position, but it's not. It can be done well, and it can be done in a controlled way. And the thing to do is to do that, is to sort of make yourself available without being, totally crammed with people every hour of the day. But the real key, I find, to keeping the staff retained is actually giving people structure. So lots of people come into care because they think it's really flexible, there's not much structure, they can sort of work when they want, leave when they want, not have to worry about this, that and the other. And I found that to be the total opposite. If actually once you've recruited somebody, you actually give them very firm structure, it makes a big difference to how you retain those staff members. Trialed and tested. With minimal structure, you have high turnover of your staff. With really firm but utterly fair structure and a really good open communication network, you have really high retention of your staff. And as I say, this isn't just my opinion, this is something that has literally happened in my company. When I started there, we had issues with retention. There was a very flexible structure. People didn't really know what they were doing. One person had one advantage, another person didn't, and it just causes issues, countless issues, which lots of providers experience. So whether carers realise it or not, maybe that's not why they came into the care sector, but definitely structure is necessary. We really promote the work-life balance within that. So we do a week 1 and a week 2 rotation. So that's so everyone works one weekend and everyone has one weekend off. We make sure there's 2 evenings a week as a minimum, unless somebody requests more. So striking the balance between everybody. So fairness for your carers you have, but you ensure you've got that a stable enough, substantial workforce to cover the care that you're providing, while all the time reminding your carers, your staff, that it's really important to you that they have got their work-life balance, because at the end of the day, the carers are what you need to provide your excellent care. The carers are what you need to run your company really well. So first and foremost, they need to be taken care of. They need to be recognised, feel respected, allowed to be heard, encouraged to be heard, and generally motivated with very simplistic appreciation. Really straightforward. One of the most basic parts of being a human being, just to know that you're appreciated. So that would be my advice to everybody. Open communication, structured retention models, and open recruitment. Go for it. Get anyone through the door that you can. Do all your safe checks and make sure they stick to what you want to be set out in your company. Best of luck to everybody. Thanks for listening.